Well, good morning, everybody. Let me start by saying what a great pleasure it is for me to introduce this morning the first coach for Major League Soccer at Nashville Soccer Club in Gary Smith. Obviously, I think, as I said when I first arrived here, the important roles that we needed to find for the club would need to have the right type of process and the right outcome. And whilst being respectful to Gary, who was also already here and obviously needs very little introduction in Nashville, being our USL coach for 2018 and for our season in 2019, was also respectful of the work we needed to do. And you know, on the discussions I had with our owners and John Ingram, it was important for us that we did the right due diligence to explore the right outcome for Nashville overall. That process was handled by Mike Jacobs, our general manager, and myself. And while Gary was always, I would say, our preferred choice right from the outset, it was important to follow that process and bring together different candidates from across different opportunity and different markets. And I have to say, we were hugely encouraged by the interest we had, the quality of the candidates that came forward, a mix of domestic, international experience, a very diverse mix of candidates, and really some fantastic people who came forward. And we went from a long list of people to a short list of people, and of course very pleased with the final outcome. What I'd also say is that, you know, when we reached the final decision, in some ways through that process, it was almost Gary's to lose. And you know, being the incumbent and being here gave us a fantastic opportunity to see some of the other facets of Gary and him in the current role. You know, the things that were important to us were that we found a coach who had a real mix of experience across different leagues and an understanding of the domestic league here in Major League Soccer, and also understanding different types of players, how to work with younger players, how to work with more experienced players, domestic players and international players. Importantly, to find a coach who really fitted with our vision and our needs for a club and the type of club and the type of culture we want to bring. And one of the things that certainly stood out to me in that process was that, you know, Gary's the kind of coach who is never happier, in my opinion, than when he's in his tracksuit out on the training field. And I think you see, we were fortunate to get to see that, to get to see Gary interacting with our current squad of players. And I think as we move forward, it's an important part of the culture we want to build, is a culture we've said that, you know, we bring something for everybody, that we bring a team together and a group together that really have great cohesion. And I have a particular belief that a lot of success in really successful clubs comes from really good harmony between those key roles, the coach, the general manager, the owner and the CEO. And if you can create that group and create a certain level of culture in that group, then I think great things can be achieved. I think it's important to say also that, you know, Gary's a winner, one of few coaches to have won MLS Cup, and one of only a handful of international coaches to have done that. So to tick all the boxes that we'd set out, to be already in the building and to be here with us, we couldn't be prouder than to announce Gary as our coach. And the final thing I would say is that, you know, it isn't just about the football side or the soccer side in terms of the players. You know, the relationship that Gary's developed over the last year or so with our supporters here in Nashville has been truly outstanding. And also, importantly, the relationship he has with our front office staff at Nashville Soccer Club. Not only does he have a fantastic relationship with them, but he has their respect. And as we build a team on and off the field, I think that's a unique set of values that we wanted to have, and very proud to announce Gary Smith.
Thank you very much, Ian. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to express how elated I am to be moving forward with the club and being the first MLS head coach for Nashville. It's a very proud moment, and I have to thank Ian, John Ingram, the ownership group for showing such good faith in me and giving me such a wonderful opportunity to lead the group into 2020. It's been an amazing 2 years. From the moment I walked in early 2017, there's been a tremendous amount that's been achieved on and off the field, and it's been wonderful to be part of that. The relationship that's been built with Mike, the way that the group has come together on the field, fans have been electric at First Tennessee Park, and when I look at the foundations that have been built already, it bodes exceptionally well for the future, and I'm sure that those foundations will be instrumental in how we build out and how we put a team on the field in MLS. And there's an awful lot of qualities that a team need and necessities for an MLS group. We were just discussing before we came out here some of the new groups just recently that have to take the field and some of the challenges that they face. And one of the big components and qualities of a group really has to be that character and that understanding of what they're actually working towards and what they're trying to achieve. And I have to say, from the ownership group down, the actual values of what we actually try and represent here have been incredible. As you can tell, I'm extremely happy to be part of it. I'm looking forward to what the future brings, and my hope is that at some point in time I can repay some of the faith that's shown in maybe bringing another cup to Nashville. Thank you.
Open up for questions. You can raise your hand. We've got a mic.
Luis Torres, Tennessee, and Ian was kind of, you mentioned it was kind of Gary's to lose and everything. Was he just the logical choice because of his background with MLS and his success last year with the team and with the city, knowing the club and the team and just the background?
Yeah, I think if you think about the type of process you go through, we started that by trying to define what the best coach we could have would look like. And then, as we start to do that, of course, you've got a guy in the building who's doing that job and started to tick the boxes that kind of fit with it. And I think, as I said earlier, I think really, and I had that conversation with Gary very early on, which was, we absolutely would love you to be in this process, but it's also, we have to be respectful, had to be respectful to the new club, and at that point, a separate club, to do the work to ensure that it was the right choice. And we never really had much doubt, but it was also important to go through the process, and it was great testament to Gary that he understood the need to do that. But we still found the same outcome.
Gary, what kind of additional duties does this heap upon you now for the next year?
Well, I think it gives me a wonderful opportunity to take stock of what the group is now, the players that we have, who's in the right place to maybe make that jump, to also continue to build and to foster the identity of our game and the organisation, because whilst there will be lots of changes at the next level, I think the fans for sure are warming to a certain feel and identity and style of the team. And to be perfectly honest, there probably won't be too many changes in that area. I've always felt that, big part of my job is to make sure that the fans are entertained, that when they step inside what will be a fabulous arena and stadium, that the players conduct themselves and perform to a professional level, and that more than anything else, they're proud to come and watch their team play. So there's lots of things that I can be doing this year. Yes, there'll be quite a bit more that I need to be studying and dealing with in terms of recruitment with Mike and planning for the future. But we've got a big season ahead of us as well. The USL season for us is really one that we can build some momentum. The players will be wanting to impress, and I don't see any reason with the calibre of players that we've got why we can't have a very successful season and really look at 2020 in a very positive and exciting fashion.
Gary, how much has MLS changed since you were last with Colorado? Of course, you had your success in 2010, and you left in 2011. But how much has the league has changed? More teams now, of course, with you guys and Miami coming in next year.
I've still watched a hell of a lot of MLS soccer. It's the pinnacle of soccer in this country, so that's been a regular for me anyway. I think, as in all sports, you have periods where styles and tactics become more prevalent. The league certainly has improved. I think that comes with more investment. The profile of the league around the world has grown, and that's attracted better players at all ages, to be honest. If you look at the most successful teams at the moment, I think we'd have to say teams like Red Bull that play a particular style. It's very front foot, energetic, and they have a terrific academy system to bring young players through. I'd put them in a very similar bracket to a team like Kansas, who over the course of, in fact, we got knocked out in the playoffs by Kansas when really Peter had just put I would think, one of his best groups together. And we were beaten handily in the playoffs. And that really put them on what would be the last 6 or 7 years of some serious success. But the model there is very different. The way that they trade for players, the Dwyer deal, they've gone about their business in a very different fashion. So whilst the league has changed, it's still, if I'm not mistaken, a sport that has played 11 players on each side and between those white lines. However, what we do know is that as any sport evolves and gets better, you need to keep up with that level of quality and consistency. Our recruitment, and of course the way that I piece together the group, and our style of play. And normally what you find in any level of play, any league, each team has a home field advantage in some way, shape or form. And what we'll do is make sure that we utilise every single opportunity that we can to push the boundaries.
Hey Ian, Joe from Channel 4. What's next? What's the next step? You got the colors, you got the name, you got the coach. What's next in this process?
Probably have to play some soccer at some point, I guess. But no, I think, listen, there's so much to do. The list doesn't feel like it gets any shorter. Next big things on our horizon, obviously, you know, we have an awful lot of people still to recruit, both players for 2020, other technical staff, other front office staff. We need to go on sale at some point in this year for tickets for next year. We have, you know, merchandising to put together in detail. First jersey will be announced. You know, lots of infrastructure projects, practice facility, academy, stadium. So no one thing that really stands out as that will be our next big high point, because there's so many moving parts all moving at the same time. But the important thing is to make sure that we're across all of it, and that we're continuing to make these big decisions and big appointments, and none more so than today. And I think this, in terms of where we need to go, you know, with the league having started just this past weekend, you know, we really are 1 year out. So where we have to go in the next 12 months, particularly around the technical side, you know, Gary's appointment and announcement was crucial to that, so that as Mike and everyone else in the team go through that recruitment process, that we've got all the people, all the key people in the building that will make those key decisions on what our roster looks like for 2020. Okay, all done. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.